Tonight on Behind the Details with Chelsea, we sit down with our special guests, Christian and Godfrey from BioBombs. We're going to be doing a deep dive on interior detailing and specifically cover odor removal. For those of you that have struggled with this area, this is the podcast episode you're going to want to pay attention to. So buckle up, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Good evening, everybody. I am so glad that you guys could join us tonight. I have been looking forward to this episode ever since we had Detail Addicts on because it kind of created a just a conversation in my head that I wanted to have with you guys on odor removal. But for those of you that are not aware of the Funkin' Homies, we've got Christian Woodland, Matthew the Godfrey. I'm not sure why we do the. Maybe we'll get into the whole but these guys are the face behind BioBombs. And for those of you that have never used their products, they are one of my favorite when it comes to odor removals. If you are a detailer, these are definitely products you want to have in your back pocket because odor removal is definitely one of the most challenging areas of detailing I think that we encounter beyond like clear coat failure and all that. When it comes to interiors, definitely odor removal. So since I love interior detailing, I'm actually really stoked to have this conversation with you guys to learn a little bit more about your products and how to use them, how not to use them. So guys, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I'm really excited to hang out with you.
Thank you. Our pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I know you guys have your podcast show where it's not always necessarily all BioBombs. You know, you guys
we'll tone it down a little bit for the people tonight.
Speak for yourself.
It doesn't have to be so strict and rigid here either. But for those of you that are watching, and we already have several in the back that are chatting amongst themselves like they always do. If you guys have any specific questions that you want to ask Christian, Godfrey, about how to use their products, BioBombs products, let us know your questions in the comment. We'll get to them at the end of this show. But I've always kind of been curious, Christian, like what made you start BioBombs? Like what did you see in the industry that was lacking that you felt we needed a product and a brand like this?
Sure. So just to give you kind of a little bit of a background, I guess, between me and Godfrey and kind of how we met, it's kind of all in the same circle. But I've been a mobile detailer since 2007. So I've been detailing cars since I was 15. Me and my buddy used to drive. We lived like a mile away from each other. So we would when our parents were at work, we would drive our cars with no license to each other's houses, detailing them and drive back home, But in 2007, we decided to start a detail company doing interior restoration services for car dealerships. So that business is a business that actually I still run. We're coming up on, I guess it's got to be close to 20 years now or whatever. But in those years, especially back in 2007 when we started, one of the things that we would be offering was odor removal. So back then, there wasn't really many options, right? Chlorine dioxide in particular, which is what obviously BioBombs is, that really wasn't big on the scene yet. Ozone machines were kind of in their heyday, I guess, at that point. That's when they were like kind of really big at that point.
But they were big and expensive.
Oh, absolutely. But, like the aerosol cans, the sprays, the fragrances, like what we were doing with the dealerships was actually kind of like a post-detail service. So we would go to the lots with our van. They'd be outfitted with vacuums and, drill brushes and different dyes and things like that or whatever. And we would basically just do a freshen up on the interior of the vehicle for a flat rate at the dealership. One of the things that we offered were odor removal. So we were using ozone machines, the aerosol cans, whatever we could to try to get the funk kind of out of cars. And then probably about, I guess it was probably 5-6 years into running the business, I started seeing different variations of chlorine dioxide products coming that we started kind of playing with. And immediately to me at that point, a little light went off in my head because I'm like, this works, right? Like we've tried so many other things over the years. With the crews we were doing, we do like 30, 40 cars a day, just interior stuff. Now, granted, like I said, it's touch-up stuff kind of after detail is kind of done their thing.
Now, how many people do you have working for you?
The max we had was 5. So it'd be 3 different crews. The one guy would run solo, and it'd be 2 people crews that'll be running and doing it. Right now, It's just me. It's just me and another dude. So
how many are you doing now a day?
Oh, if I go out on a day to still go and get some accounts done, I'll crack out 40, 50 cars in a day. Oh yeah. Like I said,
that's interiors. You're
a,
actually putting your hand in the vehicle, vacuuming and all that.
Absolutely. Pulling the vacuum out of the van
wrong.
into the vehicle. Listen, I yelled at you for a while about the for the
I
Tornador
got it.
episode,
I got it.
and you knew that you were going to kind of hear a little something from us tonight about it or whatever. But like, it's a tool that really does make a difference, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, we were doing more of like what I would consider to be like a cleanup from the detail shops, right? And this is no dig at anybody that works at the dealerships, right? But a lot of guys that are at dealerships, whether they're either getting paid flat rates or they just have a used car manager down their back and they're like, yo, like I need this done now. I got 3 other spots and preps that got to be done, whatever. You're not getting the same type of quality out of a detail shop, right? That you're going to get from a detailer that's a home-based business like yourself, or a professional detailer that's got a shop, or even a mobile guy. So the big thing for me is like, I kind of saw a lane for the products to become more mainstream. And that was kind of what inspired the entire BioBombs defuncolution, or whatever you want to call it, kind of what we have going on. Matt and I actually known each other for about 20 years. He worked with my brother at AT&T. He was my brother's boss, actually. And then when my brother left,
hired him in the back alley behind a dumpster.
Doesn't sound suspicious at all. That's
not at all. But when when my brother left, Godfrey wound up leaving shortly after. He got a job at one of the dealerships that we work at. So we were able to still kind of keep in touch and kind of build our relationship from there. And he kind of seen the inception of kind of BioBombs coming around, because the big thing for him was, and he says it all the time when we talk, is like, we would use, before we got branded and did this and did that, like, I'll have it in a jar, but it, it wasn't looking the way that it looks right now. And because it turns yellow, I would be leaving these yellow cups in these cars, and like the salespeople, including Godfrey, like, yo, dude,
they thought it was something suspicious.
Who's urinating in the car and leaving it in the cup holder?
We're on a main drag where we were at, like off of a highway, so there could be some ruffians coming by.
Just don't drink it.
Yeah.
Trying to abuse one of my Camrys out there that I'm trying to sell. You know what I mean? Like, and the lot guy would take it off JJ and just put it on the ground. I'm like, the fuck is this? You know what I mean? I had no idea.
Godfrey. We're 7 minutes in on somebody else's podcast. Come on. All right, so we have this thing going on, and we're going to do it right now too. Chelsea set aside a question. Godfrey now is going to come out of his pocket another $20 to do a giveaway. We're doing this thing where if he drops the F-bomb, whoever drops it first has to do other people's
shows. I never agreed to that.
You're in the presence of a lady. Be respectful. Don't drop.
You should tell that to my husband. It's totally fine.
Yeah, see?
I'm trying to get him to be a little bit more civilized.
You're a good friend.
So
Chelsea Chelsea fell in love with the cursor. She said her husband.
I mean, to my defense, I didn't know it was that bad before we got married. As we've had kids and the Eagles have performed poorly some seasons, it's gotten
coming off a Super Bowl.
Oh, I know, but it's just we had a couple bad seasons, and it's done.
Yeah.
I love the man, but I'm totally used to it.
So where were we at? I got distracted by Godfrey's vulgarity.
I mean, listen,
how you guys
the ozone I had
met in a back alley. Your brother. Yes, no. You thought it was a suspicious yellow liquid.
Well, what was cool is like Godfrey had a chance to kind of really see the business start to develop, right? So when like I would, show up at his lot, I think it was on Wednesdays, I would go out there, and he would always come outside. And I've been working at a lot of these dealerships for almost 20 years now at this point. So like I have very good relationships with most of the staff that's at each dealer. So Godfrey would come out, hang out, we'd be talking. As I started to develop this thing or whatever, he was like, dude, I'm kind of interested in this. Like, obviously it works. And then over the years, right, like it started developing more. And the way that I started the company was I decided I was going to go outside of my network of the dealerships that we serviced and start pitching samples and free product to dealerships that we didn't service, just to do odor removal stuff, like offer products as opposed to offer a service. So once that started picking up and taking wind, Godfrey being the natural salesman that he is and the wonderful personality that he has or whatnot, he was like, yo, dude, I can come on board and do that with you. So he's been with me for a couple of years now. He's been rocking out.
Yeah, but I just want to highlight this. Can I sponsor an F-bomb? Just saying that's out there. Adrian, you're the man. Thank you. You
are not allowed to raise people's comments on their podcast either, bro.
Totally can. really did.
He's just making himself right
How
at
do you
home.
know it wasn't me? My hands were.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I know Chelsea didn't do that. He's taking over the pod now.
I mean,
too.
I did literally like a minute ago. You were talking and you didn't see him.
So that's kind of how it went, kind of. But like, you know, my first introduction to odor removal was, you know, with duty ozone machine, we can't get the smell out for our customers selling used cars. Hey, go get this car from, you know, detail. And then I walk into a car and I'm like, wow, why do I feel like I just like, man, I'm woozy right now. It was right after an ozone machine treatment.
Terrible play.
No one told me about that. Didn't know. So I don't like ozone machines because like they're not good for you to breathe in. That's just how I feel, because I personally, that was my first impression of it. Even Google has something to say. Jesus. Listening devices everywhere. So, you know, and I saw Christian doing it, and there's things where I was like, you know, okay, what's this going on here? And I realized what the special yellow liquid was finally. And you know, our my manager time, Rick, you know, is very open to different things. Some guys aren't. And you know, he would like, Christian, you know, you got that you know, solution there, because he knew it worked better than the ozone machine. The head detailers, they must have had 70 detailers that kind of sally didn't want to use the ozone machine. They'd rather scrub their car and take their chances. That's how much they didn't really like the ozone machine, even the expensive ones that they've had. And, you know, I saw a car come in one day that our controller had. He took it off the showroom floor, and I swear he just said, hey, you know what? Let me go get a lawnmower from Home Depot, fill it up with gas, and pour it in the back of the trunk. And I'm like,
I remember that. It was a red
yeah,
Camry.
yeah. And it was like a beautiful Camry, pretty brand new, except for now it smelled like an Exxon station. So I'm like,
Don't smoke a cigar anywhere near.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this car is cooked. And I came back, and I can't remember if I sold it or I test drove it, but I do remember getting in the car and be like, is this the same car? Because it was destroyed.
That was kind of your moment where you kind of came like full circle and said, like, yo, this stuff really works.
How did that happen? And this is even, think pre-aerator too, it worked, right? This is was this pre-air, you know?
Yeah, aerator was COVID thing.
And I'm just like, what's going on here? And it worked like a champ. So I was like, all right, this is this stuff can cook. I'm like, so you know, from then on, I was like, yo, JJ, I need that yellow liquid. Like, yo,
it did kind of become our special request.
Or
thing
Chris, Rick, but like, yeah, talk to Chris, you know, Christian about that, because you know, anytime we had a car, it was just like impossible. That became the go-to, at least on that lot, right? Because you know, it was a big complex. I'm talking like this is a multi-million-dollar autoplex. You know, you had new brands, used brands. I mean, you had an auction on site. So
hundreds of cars.
Any car you could think of, any disaster you could think of existed in this place. The detailers were cleaning auction cars. They were cleaning new cars. They were cleaning spots, you know, things of that nature, full detail. So it was always an adventure trying to get the car detailed quickly to spot it, because we would sell cars quicker than we can actually give it a chance to get a full detail there a lot. Like we had to outsource details. It was ridiculous.
It was wild. I mean, they sell cars that weren't even detailed. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to run through detail. I'm like, you would get in that car, Chelsea, and be like, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks that I am buying this car. No way. I mean, just completely.
I've been in many.
Yeah.
And I mean,
sideswiped all that, and I would still spot it, bring it back later to get painted, get deodorized.
So I will say this, as someone who comes from detailing from a home-based business, you know, I think I'm seeing a different quality caliber of vehicle. I have a different level of clean and budget that I'm working with. I think I have always had a mad amount of respect for dealership detailers. I think they get a bad rep within the industry. And I honestly could not do what you guys do. I could not.
There's guys in there
flip cars that quickly and try to make as big of an impact in a short amount of time with a limited budget. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not in your world. Explain to me, like, what are some of the challenges that you encounter with dealership detailing? And I mean, let us in your world. Give us a peek behind the curtain. What's dealership detailing like?
The general sales manager is probably the biggest hurdle. Sorry, Rick. You know, because like, here's the thing. You got to get the car through service. It has to get a safety check, right? To be, you know, done under correctly by law, right? They avoid all liabilities. Then you got to get it through the shop. So the detail, unfortunately, ends up being the last thing that gets thought of, but one of the most important things because it's the first thing you're going to see when you get into that car.
And smell.
But if they're $1,000 already in the hole because they had to swap out some tires, do fluid changes, replace a radiator, whatever it might be, their budget on that car is no longer like, oh yeah, I have an extra $500 to drop on the detail aspect. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
And I mean, I see those cars because those are the ones that are coming into me after my customers buy them that have spray paint on the interior that have,
no comment.
I'm just saying. I know that you said to me when we had our episode with Eddie, you were like, Chelsea, we got to get you in on spray paint. And I'm like, I don't know, Christian. I don't know if I could ever, unless it was a situation where I
think sometimes you're not resurrecting that stain, though. That's where the spray paint comes in, right?
And I mean, the thing is, though, spray paint isn't permanent. It'll come out because I've removed it very easily for my customers when I shampoo because my water's black. I'm like, they spray painted the carpet. So to me, it's a Band-Aid. If you're getting a vehicle ready to sell, that's when I would use it. Or maybe you've got carpet that, for me, if it's oxidized, if it's stained from the sun, and it's so faded that it's starting to look like a black carpet is almost looking tan from sun damage.
Yeah.
That's when I would do it, but not to like cover up dirt, which I totally get why you might need to do that in that world because you've got like an hour to get a completely disaster vehicle somewhat clean. I
don't think anybody should use a can of dye. I prefer the term dye. Spray paint is just such a derogatory term. I prefer the term dye. Carpet dye.
Listen, we'll just call you the we'll call you the Banksy of interiors.
I mean, listen, potato, however you want to say it. I mean, I'm just saying, as a professional in the industry, to respect my craft, right?
Okay.
I prefer
the politically correct response.
I prefer to call it carpet dye.
Is it aerosolized?
Yes.
Okay, so aerosol. Okay.
However you want to call it, whatever. Either way, spray paint. The point of the matter is, I don't believe every person should be able to pick up a can and do that. That's where kind of the big issue comes in, right? So back to your point about like kind of the mad respect for the detailers of the dealership. 100%, every dealership that's good and that has a solid detail department at least has their one go-to guy that they'll say, hey, Charles, I need this to be taken care of. And you can give it to Charles and Charles will get it done and you do not have to worry about it, right? But then like the other 4 or 5 guys that might be back there are on their phone all day. They're not really showing up on time. They're calling
Well, there's
out.
there's new car detailers and used car detailers, right? I mean, I will say, I feel like the detailers get a bad rap because, much respect to all my used car manager friends, they want them to turn water into wine a lot of times. Like, the one I was guilty of is, hey man, I need a full detail on a minivan on a Saturday.
Good.
they're like, God, burn it. I'm like, dude, I make money on Siennas. What do you want me to do, bro? Like they come out and buy on Saturdays. So next thing you know, it's like they're coming back to get a detail like 2 months later, and all their crap is in there. So it's they're asked to perform they're asked to perform the impossible a lot of times. I think that's why they get a bad rap because it's really not their fault because you're trying to meet in the middle where you're like, all right, you still got them a good deal. The customer, wants you to remake the whole car when it's used. And realistically,
a used car is
not
a used car. And a lot of people who are buying used cars get very nitpicky about chips and dents and maybe a wear mark or something like that or whatever that's inside the vehicle, split dash, whatever it might be. A lot of times people have a tendency to forget that like a used vehicle is a used vehicle. So
I'll spray paint a carpet. I'll say it right now. But listen.
Okay, this is. Will you spray paint a cup holder because there's so much sand and sticky stuff that you don't have time to clean it, so you'll spray that? Because I've had those cars that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Certain cats, you shouldn't listen.
That's where the dealership detailer.
Your spray paint license should be taken away if you've done that. That's all I know.
I had a customer purchase a black Ford Explorer. The
That's arts and
interior
crafts.
was black.
That's not detailing. When you
the seats were actually gray, but they were so dirty that they spray painted the leather seats with the dye or whatever. They sprayed all of the trim, all of the cup holders with the dye.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
and
that's
it was literally like crustified. You could see run marks from, and that's why I say spray paint because it literally
was that a buy
like,
here? Did that come from a buy here, pay here? Was that Frankenstein Motors?
I have no idea. It was.
I'll be honest with you.
A crap job.
I would say we've probably done close to It's got to be. I mean, I never really did the math, but easy over 10,000 cars at dealerships over the past 20 years. You know what I mean? Like without a
You're doing
doubt.
30 to 40 a
That's what
day.
I
Yeah, that's
mean. Like
impressive.
I've seen the worst of the worst. I mean, there are people that have talent at most dealerships, though, don't use the spray paint or the dye method. And I think that's kind of where we had our value when we started our business or whatnot. But like I said, there should be people, some people just shouldn't be allowed to use it. But technique wise or whatever, right? In the same sense of what Godfrey was talking about, you only have so much time. And like where dye can be helpful is instead of like whacking at that floor because it's a Jersey car and it's got tons of sand embedded in it, and no matter how much you vacuum, you're just popping more back up or whatever, torn a door or not. We're not going to bring that back up again, but you know, I mean, ultimately, like a quick coat on the top of that carpet is a nice finishing touch. You know, but I think for being, I mean, our business is different, right? Because we do aftermarket, kind of like not aftermarket, but like post detail cleanups. Like we're kind of there to make the shops not have as much pressure on them. But I'll be the first person to tell you, I'll go right in. I mean, politely, I have to. I mean, it's my responsibility, right? The used car manager cuts our checks. So if I'm whacking you with a bill for whatever it is a day, you need to see value on what it is I'm saying to you. If there's some lackey in the back that got his hands on a spray can and thinks he knows what he's doing, I usually go to them in the back first, like, yo, just so you know, y'all are paying me to do this. Don't do this again. And then if the next week after that, I'm still seeing the mess, I'm dry snitching. I'm going right to the used car manager, like, yo, this dude's got spray paint. Stop doing it.
You said it was spray paint, by the way.
I say spray paint to them. But I'm saying, like, if you're, because like the guys will spray like the quarter panels and stuff like that or whatever on the interior kick plates and stuff like that. And I was like, if it's gray, you can't spray it black, bro. Like you got a line of black. It looks like shit. And then worst case now, I'm the guy who dies. So who's the one really going to get yelled at when the GM looks at it? Like, who's doing this shitty work or whatever? Like, Chris did it. You know, like, nah. So
I always look for overspray on the trim.
Yep.
Like you'll always see a little bit.
Yep.
Sometimes I've even had some people paint leather, but they didn't move the seatbelt. So like when you lifted the seatbelt, there was like a strip of what the color should have been. And I was like, I think these seats were painted. And the customer's
my
like,
lot, that wouldn't have made my lot. That's what I gotta say. Like,
you know what's crazy though? That wasn't actually a dealership lot. That was just a customer that her leather was dirty. And so she took it to a leather repair shop. And instead of cleaning the leather, she just had it dyed, but they didn't even move the seatbelt. I was like, you could
people
just
dye
clean
dirty leather?
That's what she did.
Absolutely, man.
It would just blew my mind.
There's a cat online I follow, Recon Ronnie. He's really, really nice at what he does. He does like great leather repair.
That's one skill I want to learn.
So we were doing burn holes in seats and stuff like that for a while. It's not fun. It takes a lot of time. And the biggest problem, which is one of the reasons why we stopped offering it to dealerships, was they just didn't understand the time and the effort that it took to do it. And you can't expect perfection the same way as like the customer wants to have a perfect used car. You can't expect something to turn out perfect. It'll get damn close. But there's people who nitpick really bad. And the next thing you know, like you're coming back to touch up a repair or a customer didn't like it or whatever. And the next thing you know, like you're kind of stuck with that car again, trying to do a second repair, which is more of a pain in the ass than fixing the first one to begin with. So
can I ask, and maybe this is too invasive, like what do you charge per vehicle when you're with the dealership?
Most of our cars are between $30-$40 a car and out.
And how long do you devote for one vehicle?
I mean, if it's something that needs a little bit of extra love and care, I might be in a car for 15 minutes tops.
Extra love and care, 15 minutes.
In and out.
All right. So what does that look like for you? Like, how do you even start that process?
What, to get the account or to start doing?
Considering you could detail 3 vehicles in the time frame that we're doing this podcast episode.
If we're doing an hour, I crack out 10 an hour.
Okay, let's not brag. I was being gracious.
Well, no. So I mean, like again, right? Like, so we're doing what I would consider to be a cleanup. So like the vacuum we have, like I'm making sure we're getting in between the seats, we're getting underneath the seats. Obviously, those are 9 times out of 10, those are spots that are usually missed or not meticulously taken care of the way that you would like to have it done if it was your brand new vehicle that was getting delivered, right? Outside of doing that, we'll do the dyeing of the carpets if we have to. We drill brush when necessary. I have over 30 different dyes in the van that we can use. 90% of cars nowadays have black carpets, so it's kind of eliminated the need to kind of have to spend more time in cars trying to do custom blends. Because there was times when I'd be holding 2 dye cans in my hand and I'm shooting them like at a 45-degree angle towards each other to mix what would be like a tan and a gray together to like
That's crazy.
hit the carpet the right way to get the right blend, you know? And then afterwards we lay down the aftermarket plastic. Like that's the big kicker for us and kind of what we do. So we'll throw down that dealer must remove plastic on the driver's side and the passenger side. And then what we do for the businesses, we'll warranty that work. So up until the dealership sells that car, we won't actually charge them another dollar. But if we're right there the following week looking at the car to the left and we already did the car to the right, if the car to the right has a paper mat that got jammed up between the pedals, or a lazy salesperson decided to keep a bottle of water in there or throw their lunch in there, because most of the salespeople, I have no problem saying it, are very freaking lazy. They make a mess in the car and don't appreciate what kind of was done. So we'll do that car again for free, which is as simple as us getting in, running the vacuum real fast, touching it up, dropping a new piece of plastic if we have to, and shutting the door. So when I go out to a dealership, if we do like 15 cars, we might warranty 10 cars on the lot at no charge every week or whatever. So that's where the value comes in for the dealership. Like, oh, now I don't have to worry about having the detail shop making sure my cars look good, because once the detail shop gets paid for doing that car, they don't touch it again until it gets sold. Period. Unless a used car manager goes on a tirade that day and they walk the lot and they're like, wow, this car looks like crap, and this one's got bird poop on it, and this one's this, and there's trash in this one. And that happens every once in a while, but more often than not, it doesn't happen. So the peace of mind that we kind of offered the dealership was, hey, listen, we're going to take care of the odors inside the vehicle. We're going to clean up what the detail shops missed. We're going to make sure we wipe down all the panels and get any of the areas they might have missed inside the vehicle, because, again, they're pressured to get a lot of stuff done in a short amount of time. We clean that up for a very nominal fee, and then we just warranty the work until they sell the car. Well, the way the industry's been over the past couple of years, I mean, cars don't stay on the lot for more than 30 days, you know?
Can't even get used inventory nowadays.
Dude,
are you doing exterior as well?
What's going on now is wild. I mean,
I have a friend that has a used car dealership near us, and he said it is so hard to just find like any sort of inventory, period.
They're selling auction cars, are going for retail pricing at the auction. It's bananas.
And they're not even cleaned. I was looking for a car for my niece with my sister. We went to a few different used places. I swear to God, I walked into some of or I sat in some of the cars, and I was like, this is like cell quality. Yeah. Like it was literally crustified body oil, burn marks, ash all over the place. And I was like,
manpower's not there.
I was just like, okay, yeah, we're walking. My sister's like, you can fix that, right? I'm like, no, I don't want it. Like, we're not.
Yeah. You know what it is? The dealerships that are big enough that can do it, what they're doing is they're buying cars pretty much at damn near retail cost. They might make $500 off a deal, something like that. But the bigger dealerships, they make a lot of money off of service. So like a couple of the dealerships that I have, I mean, the amount of money that they bring in through service in a month will blow your mind.
Yeah, it depends on the dealership. I mean, some of them are just like service based, but I will say since 2020, and I remember being a salesman during COVID, like before that, you had to pick at a litter, right? Unless there was a catastrophic weather event where like a portion of the country was like kind of like, lined off because you weren't going to buy a car from there because it's a flood car. I saw them then start taking stuff out of the lease return line, and I'm like, we're doing this. We're taking this pig and putting lipstick on it. Like things that would never, ever be touched now is inventory. And it's been like that for what, 5 years now, Christian? We've seen, I see from the beginning to the end, like, everybody's got a bumper guy in the back. That's where your overspray comes from. There's the bumper guy in the back, go there, and
it's a different market for the salesman now than it used to be.
Yeah. And the thing is I always say to people, you get what you pay for, right? Because people will come in and they want you to make a miracle happen as a salesman. And when you start getting into that miracle territory, you're going to get some spray paint on the carpet. You're going to get a little bit of love on the rocker panel, and you get what you pay for at that point. You know what I mean? If you want the car that's cherry, you're going to pay cherry price. I mean, that's just really the way it is. You know, you can still get a good deal, but I'm just saying you get what you pay for. You learn that lesson has never ever changed.
So knowing that your background is pretty much dealership detailing,
Mhm.
and knowing what kind of environment that is, you know, and the cars that you're working on, I've always been from that school of thought that if you need to do or want to have a successful odor removal treatment, everything has to be pristine and clean. Is that false? Is that like just a really nice idea in my head? But is it doesn't sound like it's executable in your world.
So it all depends on really the odor you're kind of dealing with, right? Like in an example for biobombs, the vehicle deodorization kits, they're designed primarily like the way that that product works is to treat the air, right? Like that's the way I always explain it to guys when I'm talking to them. So like if you have an odor that's lingering in the air, whether it be a food smell, maybe a body odor smell, something like that or whatever, you could use one of the VDKs and potentially get rid of that problem. First treatment, done deal, whatever.
Without
If you,
cleaning?
yeah, I mean, I got contractor buddies that literally come by and pick up like vehicle kits from me because their wives are complaining that their work trucks smell too much because they, eat and fart and whatever in it all day long or whatever.
There's
And
a lady here. We can't take
the
part.
kids. They gotta take the kids
Oh,
to.
please. You're already $20 up.
Well,
Well,
they
even
gotta take the kids to practice and the car smells bad or whatever, So like, I got buddies of mine to pick them up. They don't clean their trucks. They just drop the kit in there and they go. Will it get you at 80, 90% where you want to be at? Sure. If you're dealing with a situation in particular that's like you had a sunroof leak or a rodent infestation or something of that nature, that's probably going to be based more on like what I would consider to be like a subsurface odor situation, right? And in that particular scenario, you do want to do what you're talking about, Chelsea, which is do like a complete deep clean, top to bottom, and really like attack any of the bioburden and the dust and the part of the dead skin and the food and the ash. You want to get, I mean, you generally speaking, you want to get as much of that stuff out of the vehicle as possible because all that's going to do is hinder the progress of what biobombs can do, right? Or what chlorine dioxide can do in that scenario. But for the dealerships, for the most part, I mean, dealerships aren't using a steamer. They're not using an extractor.
Are they
If they
using
have,
enzymatic solution and
but like if they have either one of those two things, it's sitting in the corner with a bunch of old mats on top of it or whatever. Because the bottom line is, it's a pain in the ass to like drag them things out and keep them moving on a daily basis when you have to do 5 more, spiffs or whatever, or cleanups or 2 deliveries before the end of the day. You just don't have the capability to do it. So for the dealerships, I mean, they have a tendency to just spray and pray, I guess, for a lot of the cleaning and the stuff that they do. But I mean, general
well,
practice.
the spot detail is not a full detail, and that's the problem. Is if it's been sitting out there a long time, it might turn into a full detail depending on how long it's been out there. But the spot detail is, listen, the thing is detailing is the last. It's Custard's last stand for the sale. So, as a salesperson and a sales manager, your mission is get that car off the damn lot and have it hit the street. You know what I mean?
Biggest thing you don't want is a call back from a customer saying, "Hey, I just bought this car. It smells like smoke, whatever."
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing that can happen at a dealership because at that point they have a legitimate argument to say, "I don't want the car."
But has there ever been a situation though where the dealership has to take the car back? Because I mean,
yeah.
as far as I know, once it's off the lot, it's your
It's
problem.
damn hard. It's damn hard. I'll tell you that right now.
Unless you get like the lemon
You
law
better
type
know you better
situation.
know somebody that's in the family that
It
owns that
happens though.
dealership.
It happens. Sales fall through. I mean, people. I mean,
Yeah.
there'll be situations. I mean, you have a legitimate argument with a dealership if they're. I mean, the lemon law is kind of a big thing. I got a neighbor of mine that's dealing with something right now or whatever from some service oriented stuff with his Dodge or whatever that he's going through, where he's potentially going to, pretty much get all of his money back.
Mopar, baby. Mopar.
Because I had a customer that purchased a vehicle in Maryland. It was across state lines, and they
Is that the
purchased
lady
it.
we referred you to, or the minivan lady or
No,
whatever
that
it
was
was?
someone different. No,
I
she
thought
actually
I thought
canceled
she
on
was.
me.
No way.
Yeah.
I talked to that girl for like a half hour, man.
Oh, I know. I talked to her actually for about 2 hours over like 4 conversations.
People
I
are
walked her
worse.
through everything that we were going to do with your VDK kits. And then she ended up saying that because the person needed 100%, they sold the vehicle and didn't even like bother with it. I was like, okay.
Those are the worst customers. It's the old saying goes,
want to deal with
those
her
won't
anyway,
kill you,
man.
the maybes will. You know
No,
what
but
I mean?
I had a couple. They purchased a vehicle, and the wife is allergic to smoke smell, and they didn't know that it was smoked in because the dealership had done a bomb, not a bio bomb, like one
Yeah,
of the aerosol
ourselves,
cans that you just put in it.
Yep.
That it diffused it for a few days, but they came home, the heat hit it,
Yep.
and they were like, "We've got to get it out."
It's always
And
the
they
heat.
were like, "We want to return it." Those are great for temporary. They're
Yeah.
not a permanent fix, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it as a permanent.
But the dealership had done that, so they came to me. I ended up doing one of your BioBombs kits, and it saved the day because she wasn't. They were literally trying to return the vehicle, and the dealership was like, "You drove it off the lot. It's your problem."
Yeah, in PA, that ain't happening, brother. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, this was
They're not
Maryland, and
gonna-
because they drove
Oh,
across
Maryland.
state lines, it was their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
The point
that's
is,
our
you don't want
number
anybody
one.
coming in the dealership making a stink, right? So, like,
No,
if you
you
get
don't
one
want
of
a bad
those,
review.
you don't want that. So, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of where the dealership is putting this pinch. I mean, there's been countless amount of times over the years where, like, I'll get a call on a day that we're not supposed to be out at the dealership, that we got to go do some sidebar, kind of drive over, get a car done, and just leave 20, 30 minutes later or whatever.
I got one for you, Christian. Remember this one? It was your brother's old neighbor. He bought a Highlander from the dealership, and there was sand in the back of the truck, and sand, beach sand, which is impossible to get out.
Mhm.
And I see Christian back there trying to get the beach
That's
sand
the
out of this
worst,
thing. I'm glad it wasn't my sale, but you
No,
know,
it was my
of
brother's
course-
neighbor.
of
Like,
course
that was
I
the
got
worst part about
involved
it.
because I got involved because the guy knew me too, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So, and I'm like, I'm not even making commission off this thing. I'm like, all right, whatever. So
Don't
yeah,
don't ask the salesperson to do anything. That's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
first
I
thing.
did it.
First rule of the dealership. They are the laziest SOBs, most of them ever. Like, it snows. I get a
All
kick out of
commission.
this. It snows, and all they want to do is bitch and moan that they have to go outside and shovel the cars off that they have to sell to make money. It's like, you do nothing 360 days of the year when you're working, but sit in your office and
Well, it
eat
don't snow
shitty
anymore up
food
here.
all day long. And, like, it snows three
Some
times.
of that food's delicious.
"Oh,
I have
You're
to
up to like
disagree.
$40, Christian, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Let's start bringing it in. He's gonna
It's
be sending out a
F-bombs.
whole
It's
dealer.
F-bombs.
Oh, it's
F-bombs.
only F-bombs.
It's
Okay,
F-bombs.
my bad.
Well, then I'll just have to switch my game up. So I just
Make it
know
PG-13, Godfrey, not rated R.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
right,
yeah.
but a lot of times too, it's a stressful job being a salesperson because you're commission only. But the problem is that when I worked at one, there was a bunch of old dudes, and I was younger, and they're like, "Oh, my heart, I can't really do that." I was like, "It's your time to die, buddy. Like, get out of here." Like,
I'm not shoveling by
I'm
myself.
not shoveling by myself. F you, man. Then then you see like one of these 6-year-old guys like hurdle a car when a lead comes in. Like, you're like, "Yo, what was that?" You know what I mean? Like, it's wild,
They're
but
pushing you out the way like they're
Yeah.
playing football or whatever. It's like, "Oh, I thought you had a bad heart. Your leg was bothering you. What are you doing?" "Oh, no, I know this guy."
our number one reason, though, for in my opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong here, for the people want to get a bio bomb, is they bought a car and it has a smoke smell they can't
Yep.
get rid of.
Absolutely. It's
DIY customers, detailers, and across the board. And I would say that a big thing that we're probably gonna talk about that they skip is the secret sauce is using the mini and the steamer, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to set the bomb off. And, we got to educate and talk to them about, like, listen, it's probably hiding in the headliner. It's probably hiding in the vents. And
Seatbelts.
Seatbelts too. And it's ignored. And when they're like, why does the smell keep coming back? I'm like, it's because you didn't attack where it was at. You only got half the job done. And they're like, what do you mean? Now I sell more steamers than like McCullough or Chief.
He does need some type of affiliate link through
for steamers,
McCullough
like
and Chief and everybody. I mean, he is constantly telling people that, listen, go out to Harbor Freight, grab yourself a $40 steamer. It's worth it. You can use it around the house on a lot of other things.
If
But
people hit the inbox and they say, I have a mouse urine problem, I'm like, what
Steamer.
tools are you using? Do you have a steamer, my friend? Because don't be giving me a bad review because you didn't like how the product worked because you didn't have the right tools. You know what I mean? Because I almost like, I don't want to sell it to you till you tell me what you're using to clean. Like, I'm almost like that. But it's number one by far. Like, because the thing is we tell a lot of dealerships, like, hey man, put it in a car, let it cook, let it do its thing, steam it, and then wash the outside. You know what I mean? Some of the dealers, the smaller ones out there, get it. Some don't. And the detailers really, really get it because they understand what it really is. But I like the steamer then the bomb with the aerator, because I feel like you're covering all bases when you do it that way. Like
I think that having the right steamer though makes all the difference though.
Sure.
Like
Yes. You don't want a little like 10-ounce little
well, and
handheld
like I
joint
had
or
a
whatever.
McCulloch, the 1375, and it would always just like spray lethalized hot piss water every time I would try to like hit the trigger. And I'll be like, oh my God.
You got discharge. You always got discharge
Oh,
outside
I know.
the vehicle.
I will say this. I am an affiliate with AquaProvac, but they sent me one of their steamers,
Mhm.
and that changed my view on steaming because
Sure.
I didn't really care for the McCulloch, so I really didn't use it. Now that I have, and I think it's like 30 minutes of continuous, I don't have to deal with like discharging it. It's
Yep.
just like instant steam. I do use that with the BioBomb Mini, and it just works really well. It just gives you like maybe more peace of mind
Yeah.
that you're taking that cleaning to like another level. But can you explain to me some of the science behind chlorine dioxide, what makes it work so well and what makes it unique versus, let's say, ozone?
Sure. So the biggest main difference between ozone and ClO2, and ozone, I'll give it its credit where it's due, right? Like I would say it's probably the next best thing in comparison to using chlorine dioxide. And I'm not saying that as a dig towards anybody or the guys you had on or whatever. I feel like ozone is an oxidizer. We're an oxidizer, right? But the difference between ozone, which is an oxidizer, and us is we're a selective oxidizer. So being a selective oxidizer, the chlorine dioxide gas molecules will actually only go after things that aren't neutral, right? So
Explain that in layman's terms.
So like if you have an air freshener smell or a perfume smell like church lady car, like I'm sure you've maybe done a detail in the past, right? Where there's like
or it smells like mothballs. Yeah,
whatever it might be, white diamonds, mothballs, whatever.
That's church
right?
lady smell.
yeah. But I'm saying like
I always thought it was Avon perfume. No diss, anybody. No diss.
Or like a cigarette smell, right? Doesn't matter, good or bad smell.
Okay.
Chlorine dioxide will selectively attack that smell because it's not neutral, right? But what it won't do is go after, let's say, everything in the car. So an oxidizer attacks everything when you use it inside that area. So instead of like an ozone machine will attack, like not attack, it's probably the wrong way for me to say it, but it will have an effect on the rubber seals, on the plastics, on the dashboards, especially in older cars. It'll dry out the interior. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I wish I could pull it up real fast, but like if you set an ozone machine off inside of a car and let's say you have it sitting on a seat and the discharge port on it or whatever is kind of facing that door panel, if you go to open that door up and you take that out after you do a treatment for an ozone, there's times, especially with older vehicles, where like you'll see a shiny haze in like a shape of a circle almost right on the door right there, right?
I've even noticed if you put a dressing down before you do an ozone treatment, it will almost dry out portions of the plastic. Like it'll start to fade that dressing because it's going after it. So it does that to your plastics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ozone
I had a guy that got angry one time, did an ozone machine. This is back in the day. Did an ozone machine, and like I think it was a week later or whatever, was arguing with somebody in his car and he whacked his dashboard and split his dashboard right down the middle. Just because like he was arguing, like, get the hell out of here, and smacked his dashboard and cracked. You know what I mean? So I always tell people, like, if you're gonna use it, be careful. Use it for shorter is better with an ozone. You're better to like put it in 2 times as opposed to leaving it in once really long. The cool part about chlorine dioxide, like it's one of the reasons why I also kind of picked the lane to kind of run with this is it's so easy to use.
Yeah.
Like it's a kind of like set it, forget it. You don't have to worry about like, getting back to a vehicle or, oh shit, like you're going back to the dealership.
Running the power.
You're like, damn it, I left the ozone machine on. Oh my gosh, We had a guy when we first started doing BioBombs that had an ozone machine before he started buying our stuff. He was underneath his dealership, was a mom and pop spot, but his dealership was above, his lobby and everything was above, and his detail bays were down underneath, like around the back of the building, And he went
Don't
to lunch.
tell me he smelt it.
He went to lunch and left the ozone machine plugged in. And when he got back from lunch, right when he got back, the damn thing sparked up and started a fire inside the car or whatever. He had to grab the fire extinguisher or whatever and put the actual car out. He wound up losing the car. It was a BMW. He wound up losing
that smell did not go away.
No, definitely not. And a lot of things with the ozone too is like you can leave it in too long and you get that kind of burnt chemical smell or whatever, which is something that we deal with a lot too.
Dude, you'll never listen. Can I have a disclaimer, people out there? Friends don't let friends use ozone. That's going to be my new hashtag, because here's the thing. You have to know what you're doing when you're using ozone. I really feel like it can work, but it's really exact. With us, our process is very important to us. And that's a big thing why we do our bottles the way we do, the fill line, up to every detail in the BioBonds process has a purpose. And the reason why we do that is because we want to achieve the results that we're telling you it's going to have. The problem with ozone is they're not regulated. Not saying everything's got to be regulated. You can buy them off Amazon. Not all are created equal. You have to use it correctly. You can't let that customer back in the car after you've just done the ozone. The car can't be wet. There's so many things that you have to exactly do precisely for the ozone to work correctly and efficiently. And there's no way in hell you're getting it done in an hour. And we're going to do it in an hour. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Hour 15 minutes, you got to steam. So the thing is when we get people that call us, and no diss if any of them are listening, when they've cooked their car with the ozone machine, they are some of the worst people to have to deal with because they want us to perform a miracle. Right. And that smell is damn near impossible to get out. And I'm talking you might have to bomb it 5 times with 5 BioBombs. That's how bad it is. Yeah. I had a guy call me that was a detailer, and I talked him through it. Poor kid was 18, just started his own business. This guy brings in his truck, and I said, well, he said, I used a BioBomb and the smell came back. I'm like, well, tell me what you're dealing with. He's like, well, the guy bought the truck and they did 2 12-hour ozone treatments back to back. I'm like, whoa, time out, my guy. They did what?
That's insanity. I would never do more than an hour.
And so this dealership did that.
I run them for 3-4 hours at a time.
Holy
I said, tell your customer this. Tell him that you can't be responsible for his previous mistakes because it's the dealership's fault, not the detailer's fault in that situation.
The chemical burn that actually happens at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the rubbers.
Yeah.
It's
the worst. Rubber holds everything. People don't realize that. If you got a smell in your car that you can't get out, the first thing you should do is look to your rubber mats. Your rubber mats most likely are the culprit.
What is that car fentanyl? The guys. Yeah. I mean, the thing I hear from people that kind of makes me know that they're going through that is when they say the smell is in my hair. Right? They're driving a car. It's the key phrase I hear is I can't get the smell out of my hair. And I'm like, weird. And
it's attached to my clothes.
It's all that stuff. So once it's I hate to say that, but once it's like that, you might want to sell the car. It's going to be tough to come back from that. You can, but it's going to be a war. You're going to have to go after it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you might have to steam the car a couple of times with the manage. You might have to drop a vehicle kit in it twice with the pump, just to try to get that extra. The biggest thing people don't realize too, and I think this is something we have to work on ourselves as a company to kind of educate more, is when you're using, it's kind of the same thing with ozone, but not really. When you're using chlorine dioxide products in general, if you're letting off something and you're getting a gas off, by over concentrating the water with an extreme amount of chemical, when you keep that car closed up, you're building up that concentration of gas. The stronger and the longer you keep that car closed up, the more effective the treatment's going to be, right? So you don't have to use the aerator when you're doing an odor removal job. But the thing is, you don't want to open that door hey, I wonder if it's working. Oh, it smells like kind of a swimming pool in here. And then you shut the door, right? Because the thing is, that waft and that vacuum that gets created from the airflow that goes in and out, you're just sucking gas out of there. I mean, you're dropping your concentration levels almost in half, So the big thing is shut the door. The longer you let it cook, the better. We get comments all the time where people say, hey, listen, how long can I leave it in? And I always tell people, you can undertreat, you cannot overtreat, which is a really nice thing if you're using the products at a dealership, in a shop, something like that. It's you can drop a bomb in a car and go home for the night and go into work the following morning and open the doors up and be done.
Which is the opposite of ozone. You can overtreat with ozone machine. It's the exact
and undertreat. You can do both.
You can do both.
It's a very sensitive. I mean, like I said, it's
there is more of a science to it.
You gotta be an engineer, not an engineer, but you gotta really know what you're doing with ozone machine. You're experienced detailers out there, that know what they're doing. When the head guy at kind of side is yeah, man, I don't mess with them. I have them. I don't like them. I'm like, what? Use it, because I didn't know anything. I'm like, can you get rid of this odor? He's like, nah, man. I'm just gonna clean. I'm gonna give it a baptism. I'm like, what? Spray down the car instead. So it's tough, man. I've heard so many things about it, and it can be good. I've seen it being the used car industry. I've seen it work for sure.
Absolutely.
But I've also always seen it take at least 4 hours, if not more. 4 hours is best case scenario. Usually it was an overnight thing. You know what I mean?
So
It's a convenience thing. I mean, that's the beauty of kind of chlorine dioxide in itself, right? Like, I mean, it's like it's just so much easier to use. It's safer. You don't have to worry about kind of interior, fading, cracking, breaking down of any type of components or anything like that. I mean, it's just to me, to circle back to your first question you asked, like that was kind of the reason why I felt like the game needed to learn about this. I just,
so
we've had tremendous success.
I know you've kind of touched on it here and there on the benefits of chlorine dioxide. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to learn how to get the most out of your products, what to do, what not to do to get the most odor out. So
Cool.
Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in a second.
Whenever a family member buys a used car, I always tell them, bring it over to me. We're going to do a really good deep cleaning, so that way they can have a little bit more peace of mind, knowing that we've gone after as much of the soiling and who knows what on the inside to just kind of hit the reset button. The inside is starting to have a little bit of a funk on the inside. So we have a few different options that we can use based on the level of funk that we're dealing with. If it's not too bad, you just want to make the interior smell really good, you can use an air freshener bar from BioBombs. These are going to last you anywhere from 45 to 60 days. Just throw this under your seat and you're going to have a fantastic smelling interior without really too much effort. Now, for those of you that maybe want to go after the dirt at the source or the odor at the source, that's where I do recommend using something like Typhon. This is from Phoenix EOD. And you'll actually see on the bottom, we got a little bit of a yellow cloud going on in there. That's because we actually put one of these in our Typhon. This is actually a BioBomb Mini. You can put these in your steamer. You can put this in your cleaner for your interior. And it's going to kind of be a 1-2 punch to clean and go after odors at the source. Maybe you have a more aggressive odor that you need to remove. Maybe the vehicle was smoked in, you have urine or food spill on the inside that no amount of cleaners has been able to neutralize. That's where I like to use the vehicle deodorization kits from BioBombs. Alongside of their aerator, let it sit for anywhere from 1 hour to even overnight. Non-toxic, it's not going to damage any of your surfaces. You're going to have fantastic end result. So there you have some options for those of you that are looking to go after funky situations on your vehicle. We'll put the links to these in the video description box down below. And of course, use coupon code A2D10 over at the checkout to save 10% off. But let's go ahead and get back to the show.
That was amazing. Nice job,
I like your word use of funk, multiple funks dropped in there. I like it.
A little ode to the bearded guys.
I love that.
Well, I use your products all the time, seriously, at my shop, but I'm not 100% like, I haven't worked with them so long that I still feel like I don't mess up.
Yeah.
So can you share with me, I know, dealership detailing, whatnot, you're having to deal with speed and efficiency. If you had time,
yep.
If you could do, like, time wasn't a limit, what would be the proper prep that you would recommend to get 100% of the odors removed?
Yep. So if you're a detailer, you're doing an odor job, right? As opposed to, let's just say we pitch something, we teach people to do something called an interior air quality reset service, right? Which is a different way to position an odor removal service that can kind of be an additional way to grab some money. And we can talk about that in a minute. But to answer your question, full amount of time, go about cleaning your interior the same way as you would usually do, right? So if it's spraying down with your favorite interior cleaner, soaking down all the panels, using the steamer, using an extractor, whatever, do everything you can to remove as much bioburden from the inside of that vehicle as possible. Now, the beauty of using the minis is you can use them in a spray bottle with water, like you had mentioned in the video. You can use them in your favorite APC, like you mentioned with Typhon or whatever. Typhon's one of those products that, Aaron co-signed us. We have a little collab going with him right now or whatever.
It smells so good.
It works so well. Doug Farini or whatever from Detail at Doug or whatever, he had to do, I think it was his mother-in-law's house or something like that. And he had mixed Typhon prior to kind of Aaron and us doing this little thing together. And he had mixed Typhon with minis and sprayed some wood trim in this house. And dude, I mean, you literally could just see the brown just pouring off the trim. I mean, it's a very killer combination, but you can use it as an APC booster. You can use it with just water. You can use it in an extractor. You can use it in a steamer. You can use it in a Tornador Black. I mean, any type of mechanical device that you would use typically to clean an interior of a vehicle, you could use the minis with, which is what we kind of really like about them, is they're very versatile.
Have you ever run into an issue with the minis clogging any of your equipment? Like if your steamer or an extractor, does it clog the water lines?
So that's a great question. If you're not going to use your steamer in general, I wouldn't even recommend leaving water in it. That's just me.
Okay.
Calcium buildups, minerals, things like that, or whatever, they're going to start to break down and it's going to clog up your line. That's just from using regular water. What's really nice about the minis, and I've had multiple guys over the years call me and say this, it will actually blow out. If you got a machine that's performing weak and you drop a mini in it for the first time, it'll actually clean out the orifice and it'll
It like
actually
decalcifies it.
it decalcifies it, yeah. And you'll
Dang.
actually start blowing like regular full blast steam out of your machine again that you thought was on its way out the door.
Have you ever
Now,
tried it in an extractor in your rinse water?
so we have tons of guys that use them. I don't use an extractor anymore. I had one of the big old Terminators back in the day or whatever. I mean, we had it in the van. You'd have to lug it in
Yeah.
and do it. I don't. The thing collected dust. I think we sold it on Craigslist back in the day for like.
I love me my extractor.
For me, I just can't. It's respectfully a dusty process to me at this point. Like it's dated.
It's
I
the
don't.
deep cleaning you can get.
I feel
You're
like
removing instead of
you're
covering it
you're
up.
spreading a bunch of shit all over the pad, is in my opinion. I mean, I think that you can get the same results from. I think you get the same results from dry cleaning with a drill brush and a steamer.
No, I would challenge you to that battle any day.
Oh,
You take a mat and you do a bonnet clean versus an extraction, and I guarantee you, bonnet cleaning is good. I'm not saying that it's
I mean,
not,
like, what is
but
like?
it's getting surface stain. It's not
What I'm
like
saying,
lifting it to
if
the
you're,
surface.
if there's dirt and stuff like that down inside the padding, right? I mean, is there never going to be dirt back down the padding again? Is it the dirt from that? Is it most of the time the smells that you have, unless you spilled like something particularly on your carpet, you pulling that dirt out of the pad is doing nothing but making cool contact.
So let me ask you a question.
That's my opinion.
Do you have any kids?
No.
Okay. You have a dog?
3 of them.
Okay. If your dog peed on your bed, would you bonnet clean it or would you extract it?
If my dog peed on the bed, I would probably
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
extract it.
if you're looking to get the deepest clean out of something that you're actually like sleeping on,
Now, if my dog peed on,
you might get a new bed.
I don't have my dog sleep on my
I burn
bed.
it.
But
I'm just saying, for
if my
me,
dog has
if
an accident,
if I had something that I'm trying to remove, especially like, and that's sometimes how my brain thinks. Yes, I know, guys, we probably just buy a new mattress. Maybe I went a little too far with the example, but I wouldn't necessarily bonnet clean that. Yes, if I'm looking for a surface stain, that's one thing. But if I'm trying to remove it, I would extract. But that's just
what I'm saying. So you're going to extract an entire carpet when there could be just one
No,
tiny little spill.
I don't see vehicles that have one little spill though. Like I've got customers. I had one the other day that it was absolutely disgusting. I had
We have a ditty
nicotine.
party in the back of the car or something though. Like I don't understand. If there's a spill somewhere, like if there's a smell somewhere associated on some type of spill or something, it's in one area. It's in like the back corner of the car because like a tray of food slid off the seat or something, or someone spilled a soda or a coffee or something. It's not
I guess in my
over the
OCD, I see dirt everywhere. I mean, I'm that weird person that walks into people's houses and I'm not judging them, but I see the dirt. When we sit on seats, there's body oil, there's dead skin
100%.
cells, there's spills, there's old spills, things like that. I want to remove that. So that way we have a fresh reset and you have the peace of mind knowing I'm not sitting on someone else's old dead skin cells.
Do you feel like extraction is ever overkill? Or do you just do it as a
Yes.
standard
Oh,
practice?
yes. And I mean, I don't extract every vehicle.
Okay.
But if I've got an odor,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to extract to try to remove the source of the smell, not just like go after the one spot because I'm trying, like, I don't know what has been spilled, what was there.
What if you
Right.
can't pinpoint the spot though where you start at, and you have to, like if someone says, there is pee in the back seat, but you don't know where in the back seat. If you're not,
I mean, I
hitting
have a
that-
nose. I don't
You
really
got-
want to
yeah,
put
it's-
my nose.
Listen, it's the worst
I've
part
done
about
it.
it's the worst part about the job. I tell guys all the time when I'm talking to my listen.
I
Customer
found
had
it.
this spill, whatever. I'm like, dude, it sounds nasty.
You're in it to win it.
It sounds nasty, but you got to sniff around the car.
You do,
Put your
and I have
sniffer
found it.
next to the carpets, next to the seats, whatever. Godfrey, it makes me so queasy when you do your barf sound. It's unreal to me. And he's done it
I
3
had a-
times in the
Now
past.
I'm
24
going
had
to
a
do that in
customer
person when
that-
you're around.
Oh,
I had a
so
customer
bad.
that said that she was moving into our area, and on the drive in, her dog had diarrhea in the back seat,
Oh,
and she didn't tell me where. and I had
That's a
to
bad
sniff
sniff.
to
I would
find.
just
And
follow
I
the
mean,
brown
I was
stains.
like, I'm pretty sure we're just gonna do the whole thing
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
about
yeah,
to. But
yeah.
there have been times that I'm like, what is? And I'll go and I'm like, oh, someone threw up here.
So
They didn't tell me.
my counterpoint, right, to just save you some time, and I know you like spending, you at least you used to like spending an excessive amount of time vacuuming and cleaning and
I
doing
don't
your whole
anymore.
process. All
Like
right,
20 minutes. It's awesome.
Right.
I've been
But
converted.
what I would
She's in the Treshans to listen to a double album of like Enya or like
Shut up. I like my audiobooks.
her audio.
I do too.
Oh wow, you
Shout
went
out
through
to
a
the
whole
audiobooks.
audiobook. It's just the front seat.
Yeah. I can't believe I got done half of the Hunger Games and I got on the front of the car.
I
I'm
did an
messing with you.
entire audiobook the other day. It was like 6 hours for the entire detail. And I was like, man, that was a fast book.
Was
That
it
was
good,
a really long
good,
detail.
good book though, or no?
It was really good.
I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. That's like one of the things I'm like, I probably do more audiobooks now than I actually do music because I feel like it's better to kind of educate yourself than kind of entertain yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
listening to something is kind of what I have more time for these days in between doing traveling and stuff than actually sitting down and reading a book.
I mean,
But
X-Men Origin Stories is a great audiobook. You know?
yo, time out, bro. Don't start doing that. All right. Don't
Real
start
quick,
doing that.
Paul asked, do I remove seats? No, I do not, Paul. I will go up and about, but I don't do that. I have a bad back. It's a liability. And I just find, for the most part, I can move seats forward and backwards. That
Yep. So circling back to the extraction thing, right? What I would do in a scenario if somebody said to me, hey, listen, I have like an odor in my car that I can't seem to locate the source or whatever. To me, I would clean the entire interior of the vehicle down. I would spray all the panels, let them just run dry or run wet. I'd wipe them all down, get my brushes out, do everything there. Top down, obviously, first or whatever. But what I would do, I prefer to, and I tell all of our guys when we talk to them, the preferred way that I recommend using minis is actually in the steamer. Because let's say you had that diarrhea dog situation in the back of the seat, right?
hopefully
Like
never again.
most of that stuff, it's probably sitting on the surface, right? I mean, if she wiped it, whatever, you have some in the pad. I know. You have some in the car. So we dealt with some really bad smells. I mean, like, what you would do is, right, in that particular scenario, you would take your steamer with your minis in it or whatever, and you would focus some steam in an area. And what
I ain't
happens is,
activating that smell with steam.
well, what happens is you'll
Oh,
wind
man.
up smelling like the dog dookie and the minis at the same time coming up through the steam. So you're like, all right, boom, I found the stain. I found the smell. Source of the smell, boom. I'm not spreading it all over the place with an extractor and trying to pull back up and leaving poop particles in the padding and stuff like that you couldn't get out because it's damp when you're done using an extractor. It's not dry. You're leaving it wet. Right. So that's one, leaving you a potential buildup for mold and things and, dampness and that kind of smell. But on top of that, if you were to use just the steamer, you're going to be able to locate where that smell is at. And what happens is as you're steaming that area, let's say you got one little area that you find, you start steaming that. You have the poo smell coming up and the swimming pool smell coming up from the minis. After about 30 seconds, you won't smell that dog dookie anymore. You will only smell like the swimming pool from the minis. At that point, move over 6 inches. Start doing that section right there. Once you get done doing that, move up, move down, move left, move right. You can spread yourself out in an area where a stain happened or a spill happened, and you can get that particular area. You won't have to do anything else.
So you're saying to me that your mini tabs with steam can get rid of a poo smell without
100%.
removing the
100%.
actual poo?
If your dog got blasted by a skunk, you could spray your dog with minis and it will work 10 times better than any other solution you've ever read or heard about.
But you didn't really remove it. I'm just pushing it around with steam.
No, because I mean,
vaporizing it. Bam.
Oh yeah, sure.
You
guys have a lot of faith in that product.
You're breaking it down. You're breaking it down. That's what's happening. I mean, we've had situations. I had people. I mean, you could jump on our Google reviews or whatever. I mean, there's people who have had odors and stains. I mean, I had a stray cat break into a Tesla. You know what I mean? It's California. I'm like, how did this happen? Well, I left my window open and the stray cat popped in and sprayed all over the interior of my car or whatever. And like, I really just, I don't want to get it professionally detailed. And what should I do or whatever? And literally sold the lady minis. She went out and got herself a $40 steamer, steamed the vehicle, had no problems at all. It's always Tesla owners, I think, that are having issues over the past couple of years with this really weird scenarios or whatever. But I mean, you can get phenomenal results without having to pull out an extractor and extract seats and carpets and all that stuff.
I don't know if I could like take
telling you.
that leap of faith.
Try it. Try it.
I don't
man.
know
Let
if
you
I
try it.
could.
Come.
There's
I
gotta
don't
be
see
somebody-
the I don't see the
There's got to
harm
be
with
somebody in the
extracting.
comments right now saying that they
There's
use
a
it.
couple people that are like, I'm with Chelsea on this one. Like Chris is, I mean, I think maybe if we were to say, food spills, things like that, maybe I would have the confidence to do that. When it comes to poop, vomit, urine, like body fluids of any sort,
Mhm.
like even if we had blood, I mean,
Right.
or I'm
Let me
not,
ask
that's
you
a
this.
whole nother,
If there's a urine accident in a seat,
I'm
do
still
you-
extracting.
but do you really think you're extracting, or do you think you're spreading it more all over the
I
car?
mean, my
If
dirty
the
water
foam- if
is
the foam
yellow.
if the foam is this thick and the
My
pee
foam
is
is not that thick. You're using the wrong cleaners then,
the
my brother.
foam on a seat is this thick,
Okay.
right? And there's urine on it that's this deep. You're going to spray a ton of liquid that's going to do what? Immediately seep down further into the seat.
But
you're not.
steam, what
you're
is
not gonna
steam
be able-
doing?
It's rising. You're breaking this.
Injecting, it's pushing it
It
down.
is, but it's pulling out the odors as well.
How can it pull it out without extracting? That's the whole root of the word is extraction. We're
Listen,
totally
don't-
like this.
Listen, we're
Tomato,
we're not
tomato,
going
I-
to see eye to eye on this one, but
No.
whenever you want to do a funk off, I'm totally with it, and I will not bring an extractor to the challenge.
I
That's
will
what I'm
bring my
telling you.
Aqua Provac, my Bonnet Pro, Omega
Listen,
Zyme.
I'll make us lunch. I'll be done 2 hours, 3 hours.
You bring your
before you're
dog's
done.
poo and I'll glove
I'll
up. and
watch.
freaking-
I'll watch a movie on my phone. Me and Godfrey will sit back, enjoy some lunch. We'll barbecue and we'll watch it. And we'll
We
take
should
some
have
pictures.
Eddie officiate this, and after we clean our dedicated ones, which
There's no
one
way-
he
there's no way I'm
thinks
letting
he'll
Eddie
feel
officiate
comfortable enough to actually put his nose into it to smell
See,
it
we
afterwards.
got people coming on Team Steamer here, Rick, with a steamer mini's all you need. I'll never own an extractor.
Yep.
Somebody
I
said
think
because it's evaporating. Is that true,
Chelsea
Christian?
playing
No.
favorites
I
in the
think Chris
comments
has
over
it.
there?
I think she is. I had to police the comments.
No. I hit the wrong one because someone popped up. Extract, then follow up with the Biobomb Mini. Everyone wins.
Listen, I'm fine with the negotiation. You can do whatever you want and work it however you want. I'm just saying you don't have to spend the time doing all that, nor do you have to have a real big, expensive, extractor. You can get away with having a McCullough or a lower end model steamer and do odor removal jobs without having to go through that process.
I'm
That's all
gonna
I'm
do this experiment on my channel. I have to know now.
I had a guy spill fish grease in the back of a minivan or whatever. He knew exactly
Fish
where,
grease.
exactly
Oh my
where
god,
it-
that had to be awful.
exactly where it smelled at. He's like, dude, it's the back corner of the floor. It smells terrible. Roberto Sanchez. We had him on one of our second or third podcasts.
Remember
Oh
him?
yeah.
But I'm saying he had a situation where this is when he was first coming on board. He was like, Chris, I got a question for you, man. Like, I got this car. There's a spill in it, blah, 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 whatever. How do you suggest I approach it? I'm like, dude, just grab your steamer because he's got a chief. I'm like, grab your steamer. I'm like, drop one in there. I said, just steam the hell out of that area. I said, you're going to smell the fish grease coming up with the minis. And I said, eventually in about 20, 30 seconds, you're not going to smell it anymore in that area. Move to the left, right, up or down, and you'll be able to take care of the problem. He called me back later on that day. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, I would have never believed that this would have worked. That was the easiest, fastest treatment I've ever had to do to try to tackle odor in my life. And that dude's been a customer ever since. He uses one mini every single day in every one of his jobs. He steams every one of his cars. It changes life that much.
The passion that Chelsea has. Yes, you're right. I am very passionate about this.
She is.
I honestly, I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna try it out.
Your theory, Chris, put with
I'm novice when it comes to steamer. I will tell you that because I wasn't a fan of my previous steamer. So I have just gotten very comfortable with extraction. I'll
You're
try it out.
getting the affiliate steamer guy all upset. He's
I
going to
know,
have
man.
to try to talk to you
Leaving
after the
the
podcast.
Listen, the calls that I get in the inbox to make me shudder where someone's like, hey, I want to buy like 10 room deodorizing kits. I'm like, what for? And it's like a DIY. I'm like, we need to get on the phone. And it's like a skunk sprayed my dog and it ran through my house. And, I think about Christian talks to me about this and I've seen it in the car where like that smell will come up with the steam. And how do you find where your dog went with the skunk smell? You're guessing. Yeah. Or you get at the steamer and try to triangulate where it would
it'll
be at.
activate it. You'll find
Yeah,
it real
you
quick.
can extract the entire vehicle, but again, right, Chelsea? Like,
What about a house? Like, what do you do in a house, right?
What if you left some of that urine in there because you're obviously putting a lot of liquid in to pull some stuff out, you know? Christian
Rick says, give me a break. I just got a compressor and Odor. Guys, I'm
Love you,
just
Rick.
new to the 2025 detailing
great.
generation.
I'll pop this one up here, but I mean, obviously, Johnson, you know what I mean? You clean up dry cat yak with water and a mini. It's been completely clean on a dog bed. I mean, that's my dog. I have a puppy now who literally you think that she's house trained, and all of a sudden today she drops a dookie on the floor. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You know, like the dogs will pee on the dog bed or whatever. Like you can literally spray the area where the urine happened at, blot it up, and you won't smell it anymore. It's just that simple. I mean, it's the science behind how chlorine
Do you have
dioxide
animals,
works.
Chelsea?
No, we did.
None.
We used to have a German Pinscher, and he was a puppy. We had him like maybe 3 months, but he bit my daughter twice, and she was terrified of him. And so I made the hard decision to say, peace out.
Right.
My husband was heartbroken, but
probably
she
why I curse
literally
so
didn't
much.
want to be in the same room with the dog after that. And so
I
we had
believe
to
it.
get rid of it.
Understandable.
Definitely had to deal
understandable.
with our fair share of pee and poop though. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But-
having kids in
Well, if your
general,
daughter
I mean,
pees
it's
on the
something
floor,
you gotta
just get
deal
like, you know.
actually, funny story. No, when she was little, she literally woke up from a nap and I don't know what was going on with her. I think she dreamt she was on the toilet, but she
Sleepwalking.
literally peed and just kept going. And I was watching her and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, still going, I don't know. I
Can't scream or
stop."
nothing. Stop.
It was
Cut
like-
the stream. Cut the
And
stream.
I swear to God, I spent so much money having our carpets professionally shampooed. And we had just like 2 months prior had brand new carpet and padding put in, spent like $5,000 on new carpet. And I was like, so I had it professionally detailed. I paid extra for that special solution magic spray that you put on it. Nothing worked. And I
They should have
bought,
had a mini. They should have had a mini.
I will say this, there's a product called My Pet Peed. It was the only thing. Literally spray it on, let it air dry. You might have to do it twice. It removed it like magic. I didn't even have to touch it. And I literally was like up in the padding of the carpet with my nose and I couldn't smell it.
I feel like that stuff, Nature's Miracle, used to work really good back in the day.
I
but
tried that. It didn't work as well.
It doesn't work the same anymore. Back in the day, like 8-10 years ago or whatever, I guess before that company sold out or whatever, they had some type of different formula and it used to work a lot better than it works now. But we get people all the time that say, hey, man, I got
I used to swear by Nature's Miracle. Not anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just doesn't work the same anymore. But
Jordan wants to know, do the mini chemicals affect the cheap steamer tanks? Anything to watch out for?
so out of all the guys that we've recommended to use minis in a steamer with, there was one gentleman that we sent a free sample kit that claimed it broke his steamer. And instead of me arguing with the guy, I just sent him $50 and told him to go out and buy another Harbor Freight steamer. Between me and you, I don't think he was the most honorable.
Might have been on the way out.
Cat, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I mean, and I don't want to speak too early or whatever, but I've been talking with the owner of Chief Steamer or whatever. He actually has been sampling using the products, and we are going to be the recommended product to use to maintain the internals and keep your machine functioning properly. We're going to slap a little magnet on every one of the machines and have a little QR code linking back to the mini. So, no, we haven't had any type of issues whatsoever with any type of machine.
Speaking of cheap, though,
medium, high end, doesn't matter.
I bought a $25 steamer off Temu just for shits and giggles. I'm not joking. It looks like R2D2 without wheels.
Yep.
And someone painted it orange. I'm not joking.
Carlos would
Stick a
probably
little
like
globe,
it.
Yeah. And I put a mini in there. I don't know. It was probably 3 weeks ago, and I was steaming my brother's sunroom. There was like aluminum. I guess it was like aluminum ceiling, or maybe some kind of like plastic metal where there was nicotine on it.
Mhm.
And I was and you know this thing was talk about it shot out hot water too. Chelsea, don't feel bad. and I had it going up there. Had the rag over it, and it did the job, and it didn't hurt it at all. I mean, it's just, and that was as cheap as steamers I've seen. Actually, $25. Not joking. It's
nice.
Like this big. Looked like a Pokemon almost, like a Pokemon ball.
Well, you'll have to keep us updated if it actually works.
It worked.
Like
No, it worked.
Long term.
Yeah, long
This is
term.
God for the detailer. He's not getting in the. He's not going to be doing.
I'm not buying
an
a
entire
cheese steamer.
vehicle.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but you know,
Yeah, he'll just borrow mine.
What are some of the most challenging odors that you've had to deal with that have had a successful turnaround with the vehicle deodorization kits?
Ozone overtreatment is definitely one of the top 3, I would say, because it's a really, really big problem. Because, like I said, you're like putting chemical burn kind of on the surfaces, which adds a whole other level of things. But I mean, I've had a guy who, Mr. Denver, he was doing a renovation in a house. House fire happened in like a wing of the house. They gutted the whole house, restudded, threw new drywall up, painted the whole thing. He went back the day after they got done the project, and the inside of the house smelled like smoke. That was after doing the full renovation, spackle, paint, the whole 9 yards. He got a bunch of kits, set it off at pretty high concentration inside the house, took away the smoke and the char smell right out of the house. Rotten watermelon's been one of the ones that's been coming up a lot more recently. I had a really bad experience with that a few years back with a customer. Spoiled chicken left in a trunk in the middle of California sun for a week while somebody's on vacation. You'd be surprised. That's like a regular thing that people forget their meat in their car when they go grocery shopping. It slides out of the bag, and the next thing you know, you're not in the car for 3 days, and you're like, what the F just died in the back of my car?
I have some pictures of like raw chicken in the summertime in Arkansas being left in a cart, and like it was disgusting. I said I got to see pictures of it. I think I put it on one of the accounts.
You want to see that?
I just had to see it, but it was he charged her. It's called this. It was an older expedition. I think he said he charged her $3,000 to do it.
There's
$25 bottle kit, and he made really nice profit.
Yeah. But I mean,
he's doing more than that though in this cleanup though, man. This thing was maggots infested.
Yeah, it's unique. So like one of the cars.
That's one thing that I like draw the line.
So there was a Mini Cooper at a BMW dealership over in Allentown or whatever. This was probably 6 years ago now or whatever. And they called me up. They're like, yo, Chris, is your product going to work, man? Like there's this car. We took the carpets out. It had mice in it. We can't seem to figure out the odor, et cetera, et cetera. So I actually went up to the dealership to kind of walk through with this detailer who bought stuff from us just to make sure I can kind of get him. By the time I got up there, they had the whole dashboard of the Mini Cooper out, which I mean, it's probably this big, you know what I mean? But the whole front, the whole front end came like inside the dash was out.
Like this.
A rat wound up climbing in behind the AC condenser box, got stuck and died.
Oh.
So he started deteriorating, and there was maggots and all types of stuff actually in the AC condenser box or whatever. So when I got there, they actually had just taken it out and put it outside of the dealership. And they're like, dude, I swear, man, you don't believe me? Like, come out here. And I'm like, oh,
this is literally the grossest episode. Lead it to the bio bombs, guys.
Yeah.
Make me want to lose my
I'm trying to think of some other really good ones because there's been so many over the years
with your kits.
I can say this respectfully. There has been one scenario with a lady that we did absolutely everything we could for, and it's no discredit to her for trying, but I just don't think she was capable of doing what needed to be done to remove the odor. The bottom line is there is not an odor that you cannot get rid of. We've dealt with people who committed suicide inside cars. We've dealt with bodily fluids, throw up, urine, feces, dead animals. I mean, you name it. If you put the potency high enough, you can get rid of anything. So I mean,
what are some common mistakes you see people doing with your products?
Biggest complaint we get on an email basis or a review basis on the website is probably a application error, where let's say
the instructions are pretty clear.
Yeah, but the thing is, Chelsea, this is the reality. People don't read directions anymore.
It's literally like tablet filled with water. Like there's a big piece of paper that says "Do not enter." You've got instructions.
And there's an odor meter on there. You know, it tells you how long to leave things depending on what you're. But the biggest thing is application error. So like, again, if you had a sunroof leak, right, and you have like moldy water that's been running down your A panel, you know, your A panels on the side of your windshield that are going down onto your floorboards, like you have a mold buildup on the floorboards. There's some little pockets, right, when the car's pressed for the floor and stuff, that like water's sitting in there and it's got mold growing in it. So like you can do a vehicle kit, But then you're like, oh man, like it worked, but it didn't really get rid of the smell. It came back 3 days later. And then when like I send Godfrey or myself through an email trail to try to get in touch with the customer and find out why they left a 2-star review and decided to bash the hell out of the company before ever reaching out to us or whatever, we find out that like they had a leak in their car or that, you know, some crazy thing happened. And we're like, listen, like the real way to go about something like this is like you want to go with the surface and subsurface odors first, then you want to treat the air. So a lot of people think like the vehicle deodorization kit, because it does this cool smoking effect and whatever, that like it's going to just disperse this magical gas on the car that's just going to find anything and just remove it.
Can I say that? Can I reveal?
Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper.
Can I reveal on air the thing that makes me laugh the most when I see in the inbox sometimes? Is
go light, but yeah, sure, enlighten all of us because I'm really curious to hear now too what this is.
Oh, it makes me giggle. It goes, is it working? I don't see smoke lines.
So that's a thing, right? So guys will be like, hey, I don't see smoke.
Smoke lines?
Well, I don't see smoke like some of the videos I see online. Yeah. And this is something that actually a lot of people listening probably don't know.
Because you can see a yellow fog.
Yeah. Well, if you get down on it,
yeah.
If you do it in the shade like you're really supposed
I've seen it.
You can see a yellow haze floating around. Now, if you do it in the sun, like a lot of the guys do who shoot content and like we repost their stories and stuff, you'll actually see the top of the jar will look like there's a shitload of smoke coming out of the top of it. What that is it's actually the UV light from the sun directly reacting with the gas as it's coming out of the jar. What it's actually doing is reducing the potency of the gas.
So do it in the shade.
Yeah. That's one of the directions. Did you not read that part?
I'm always detailing the shit.
I'll put it, or use an aerator, right? And you get it done in an hour. I will tell you one of the biggest
it makes no difference, right? If you're using the pump or whatever and you're in the sunshine, you're not going to have any reduced effectiveness. It's not going to make a difference.
I've always used the pump. I mean, I used to buy them in bulk.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, you can buy them off of Amazon, but it's not going to tell you like how many. You know, you're not going to have the aerator. There's really
we get that.
You have to figure that stuff out. You have figured that out for people.
We get that all the time. So people will be like, "Oh man, you know, can I use the minis or whatever to replace the VDKs, like the vehicle kits? Like, can I just use the minis?"
You got to use like 7 of them though.
You got to use more than that.
So really? How many?
15 to 20 to potentially.
Have you guys ever thought of selling? Do you sell your big ones in a bulk?
No. So the reason why we don't do it, one, it's a liability for both us and the customer, right? Okay. Because if you don't have your labeling and your proper warnings on there, you get some, let's say some derelict who's at a car dealership that goes and smokes a doobie.
You don't know
lunch.
Any of those people.
I'm just saying, smokes a doobie during lunch or whatever, comes back and decides to use a vehicle kit tablet or whatever and doesn't have directions and decides to sit in the car when he uses it. Next thing you know, we have a lawsuit coming after us because there wasn't proper warnings on the product, right? Or you decide to sell them loose and they got them sitting on top of a utility sink on a shelf or whatever. And next thing you know, some guy knocks it over and 15 tablets go falling into the sink. Now, all of a sudden you got a breathing hazard for people. So for us, it's not an option, you know?
The other thing too is what you said earlier, Chelsea, is how do you use it? How much water do you use? What's the process, right? And if you look at reviews,
I don't think it's working. Next thing you know, you're out the back of your throat. I've done it plenty of times myself. It is not a good experience. You will hate yourself for about 24 hours if you take a whiff of that stuff the wrong way. But
it's
I think it's all part of the reason why
the process is very important. And like, you know, how are people storing it? Do they know? You know, it's almost like you would have to become certified. It's definitely, especially when you're dealing with DIY customers. You know, I mean, you know, just think of something simple like the fill line, right? We're telling you how much water you need in there, right? Like, are you going to put too much water? Not enough water? Are you going to put it in a cup that's big enough? You know, and it's something that needs to be in there, you know. And
you should sell a Tupperware bowl like I have for mine, because I actually put mine in a Tupperware bowl because it does splash a little. Now, if it does splash on plastics, and it sits there for a while, will it stain any of the plastics?
Another great question. So the product itself, we call it micro spatter. Depending on the hardness of the water, things of that nature, temperature, you know, where you're at in the country, whatever. Sometimes people get a little bit more spatter. Some people get none. But ultimately, chlorine dioxide, what's really nice about it is it breaks down to pretty much salt and water. So like when it dries, you could just lick your finger and wipe that and it'll come right off. There's no like, you don't have to scrub, you don't have to do anything like that. What a lot of guys do are professionals. They just
Safer than poop.
they stick
Are
a
you
dead
doing that?
they stick a dead microfiber, old microfiber towel over the cup holder and push the jar right down inside of it. And that's just an easy way to not have to worry about cleaning up the spatter.
Is there a proper placement for it? I sometimes put it on the floor. So that way, if it does spill, is it going to not work as well if it's on the floor?
So,
Do you need it to be in the center console higher up? Or with it being a gas rises. So do you want it on the floor?
so the reason why we went with the jar and the size and the kind of the way that we designed the product is because cup holder, snug in the cup holder is the safest way to go, right? There's other versions of chlorine dioxide out there that might be in like a little sponge or like a little, hey, mix part A, part B, put it in this little container, or like some of the auto detail supply trucks sell something we call it like the wonton container, you know, where it's like kind of in this little square thing. But a lot of the times, or even like you know, some of our competitors, they sell it in like a big wide mouth kind of jar thing or whatnot. Like that's problematic in the sense of like, I don't remember, I go to get in a car, bam, my elbow hits that, and then all of a sudden you're spilling that shit on the carpet. That potentially could be a problem for you. So for us, it was like, let's do the cup holder application. It's simple. You see it. It's snug. It's not going to get knocked over. That's kind of the direction that we went with that.
Okay.
You can use it on the floor. And this car that Godfrey was talking about in particular with that Camry that spilled the gasoline, we actually did treatments directly in the trunk.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that like you keep the, because like that's where the spill happened, right? So it's like in that particular scenario, seats up or whatever, and just, you know, dose the area where you know it's at. If you had a bad situation, someone threw up in the back of the car all over the seats or right on the floor or whatever, like there's no problem putting it there. You just want to make sure, like you said, put it in like one of the caddies that the guys are making now or whatever. You can put it inside of a Tupperware container just so it's contained, because the pump's going to vibrate. You just want to make sure that like there's nothing that's going to potentially spill and fall onto the carpet.
I put both of them together and find that I have no issues. When it comes to the residual smell, how do you
Great
get rid
question.
of that? What are some tips on getting rid of that?
Great question. So a little science lesson, just real quick. The gas itself would much rather be suspended inside of a liquid than out in the air. So when we're using the VDK kit, the way that it works is we're over concentrating the water with chemical with a small amount of water. So the byproduct, like it has to release itself. It escapes through the top of the jar in the form of a gas. Those gas molecules are still floating in the air. They are starting to kind of still on surfaces after you get done a treatment or whatnot. If you were to take some distilled water and
Does
spray
it
it
have
in,
to be distilled?
has to be distilled. Now
Can't
there's
just be
something.
tap water.
No, because you want it to be clean. So RO water doesn't work as well as distilled. And there's a thing that I just discovered. This is only a couple months ago. Some of the companies that are selling distilled water are actually just selling chlorinated water. You're not going to get the same results with that either. So you want to make sure you're using a distilled water that has not been treated with chlorine. And basically, you spray a couple of sprays in the vehicle or in an RV or whatever it is that you're doing treatment-wise, could be in a house, whatever. It's a couple of sprays. Those gas molecules, because they'd rather be suspended in the liquid, will automatically attract themselves to the water and then dissipate. So it's a really cool way to get that pool smell or clean smell, whatever you want to call it, out of a car if somebody's sensitive about it. But 9 out of 10 times, Chelsea, to be honest with you, if your car smells like cigarettes or dog dookie or whatever,
You're going to welcome a pool smell.
You're going to welcome a clean smell afterwards, right? Some people are like, are we going to how can I get rid of this smell? And then you tell people the distilled water trick and you usually don't hear from them.
Or if it's a smoker's car.
The most amount of time I've ever had someone say the smell lingers is like 3 days. And like it dissipates over 3 days.
With our stuff?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, another trick is like in the sun, windows cracked, an inch all the way around all day, especially in the summertime, right? I even tell people, like, if one of my dealerships calls me, Chris, I got this car, it's so bad, man, you got to get out here and do it. I'm like, dude, I can't get there till Wednesday. And it's like Monday or whatever. I like yell at them. I'm like, listen, go outside, crack all 4 windows at least 1 inch. And I'm like, just leave it like that until I come out there. Because again, the heat's going to build up inside the car. If it's a moisture situation or a wet car thing or whatever, like a lot of the times with detail, they'll run a car through detail and they seal it up and park it on the lot. Well, it's still damp. This is the time of year. That's like the worst time. This time and winter time are the worst 2 times a year that you could do that, because it's a breeding ground for mold and mildew and all that stuff to kind of start building up. You crack a window, the heat builds up inside the car. It's cooler outside than it is inside the car. So the heat's going to escape out the cracks of the windows and the moisture is going to go out the car with it. Same thing like in the wintertime or whatever, you know, like you don't want to park a car and leave it wet because next thing you know, you're going to wind up getting that condensation on the windshield that freezes up or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So John Weber had a question before. Will Thor carry the Great 8 variety pack?
I'm going to actually get with Eddie about that after we get off the podcast tonight.
What is the Great 8 variety pack? I'm going to assume it's the bars.
It's an 8-pack, yeah, at a discounted price, basically. At this point, we're going to have to kind of get it bigger, dude. I mean, with all the different things we got going on, the Great 8 is going to turn into like I don't know. I think it's like
the BioBombs 11.
Yeah.
What scents are probably your most popular?
Hands down, most popular scents are Fresh AF. That one is kind of like, I guess you could say, favorite. Clean linen, fresh laundry, rainy day kind of smell. It would be, so it's Fresh AF, iced out, squash, poppin' cherry. And I mean, those are the 4 main. They're the big sellers out of all of them that we have. I mean, if you like black ice, that type of smell, iced out's the way to go for you. If you're like a JDM boy or you like that kind of squash smell, the squash LLC is the way to go for you. And cherry's been just making this killer run. Shout out to everybody out there that's been buying cherry.
Any chance on, do any of them smell like sandalwood?
So we're working. You're actually probably the 4th person this week that had mentioned something about sandalwood. We're working on we're not sure what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to be a collection of those type of like old school, vintage, classic.
It doesn't even smell like Old Spice.
No, I'm saying like more like, like patchouli, Palo Santo, like teak wood, like those type of like, I would say like hippie kind of like classic vintage smells. We're trying to start to incorporate them into some of the bars.
I am definitely a sucker for more cologne-y smells on the interior. I'm not a big fan of fruity smells. They give me like a headache after time, especially when they get hot. So anything that's like
Did you try dope soap yet?
Yeah, I love it. That's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, dope soap's a hit. I love that one.
Yeah. My husband is the fruity guy. He likes the bevy grape.
Yeah.
He loves anything grape.
Got to get him a squashed LLC. That's a good one too.
I did try the squash. He wasn't a fan of that one. What's that?
Juicy melon. You try that one yet?
I haven't. You guys sent me a bunch, but they last so long that I only have had to put like 2 or 3 in. I definitely pop them under the seats after soccer season because my car smells pretty bad right now. But
Tim McLaughlin and a couple of the other guys have this little hack they do. They cut off little slivers and they throw it inside the cabin filter, like in the fins. Like they'll put like a slice or 2 in the fins and then they'll jam the air filter back in. That
was another question I wanted to ask you. When it comes to removing the cabin filter, do you recommend changing the cabin filter before treatment, after treatment, or pooling it during treatment?
So it's all like based on kind of how bad your odor is, right? So the biggest thing that I tell people all the time, like if you have a car that smells and it's like if you're dealing with an odor issue and you can yank the cabin filter because you're gonna waste gas trying to clean out a replaceable product, right?
And see, the guys over at Detail Addicts, they were the first ones that ever said that to me. You know, most people have said, change the cabin filter before you do the treatment.
Corrections as well.
Okay, so maybe I didn't read it as thoroughly as I thought I had. I always change the cabin filter prior to doing it, but had it in so that way it would kind of recirculate. But when they said it's just slowing it down, I was like, that makes sense. Which leads me to my other question. If we're doing the air on recirculate, but you've said don't open the door when you're doing it because it's going to reduce that gas. Are we having the car running for the entirety of the session? And if you're wanting to do for several hours, that's a lot of gas. You obviously have to be outside. You can't do that indoors. Does that limit the capabilities?
Cool. So I'll try to stay on task. There's a couple of things I'm going to say here to kind of make it make sense. So let's say you're a detailer and you're like at the shop and you're like, I want to start the treatment on this car or whatever. You could drop a VDK in the car, shut the door, walk away, come back the following morning. What I would recommend doing, already have your pump hose in there, right? And the following morning, open the car door, start it, turn the pump on, shut the doors. That way you're like running the system, right? At that point, you'll get gas going through the system. And the reason why you're going to do that is because if you were to use a VDK without the pump, in the morning when you come back to the vehicle, the liquid's still going to be yellow. And the reason why it's still going to be yellow, going back to kind of the science, is the chemical level and the water level have evened themselves out. And like I said, the gas would much rather stay in a liquid form. So all of it's not going to come out when you don't use the aerator. It'll still be yellow in the morning. So let's say 60 to 70% of the gas comes out of the jar. The other 30 is kind of still sitting in the jar. So if you were to turn on the pump at that point, you're going to get a boost back up in the concentration anyway. So what I would do is if you're gonna run the vehicle, do it with an aerator and run it for an hour, right?
Okay.
Just run it. Turn it on, recirculate, 45 minutes to an hour, you can get in and out of a car. I got guys that buy from me on a regular basis that do dealership work and stuff. They know how bad an odor is, and they'll be like, dude, I don't have to treat that car for 20 minutes. They'll pop a bomb in, turn the pump over 20 minutes. They'll go do 3 other cars, and they'll yank them out after 25, 30 minutes because they know how much concentration they're going to get, and they're running the car at the same time. But yeah, I would 100%, like the way I would recommend doing it is use the pump, run the car if you want to. You don't have to run it. A better solution always would be to take your steamer tip and run steam through your ventilation system, because what's going to wind up happening there, the different is you're going to coat the walls of the HVAC system with the mini solution. And as that dries, it's going to continue to keep fighting odors and breaking down whatever's on the first layer of the plastic, whether it be ash, skin cells, food, whatever. It'll break down the stuff on the walls inside the HVAC system as it dries. So if you have, moldy water spots, things like that, condensation buildup, things of that nature, the mini solution itself is going to break that stuff down. You're going to get better results cleaning ventilation systems if you're steaming it with the minis. But if you don't have that option or you're pressed on time, you can just run the vehicle on recirculate, and that'll be perfectly fine. Now, if you don't have the pump and you want to run the car, do it at the end of the treatment.
Okay.
So just pop in have everything set up, right? Like set the car up, have it on recirculate, whatever, turn the car off, exit the car, drop the tablet, let it sit for 8 hours or whatever, 6 hours, 3 hours, whatever you're going to do. And then real quick, just pop open the door, turn the key on, shut the door, and let it do its thing for that.
Can you
20
extract?
minutes, 30 minutes.
Can you use an extractor on the vent? Is that possible?
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
I don't actually.
How you cleaning the inside of the vents, Chels? You extracting them?
Oh,
No, I actually don't, because I don't think a steamer actually can clean a vent, because it's just pushing moisture into it, which could actually make mold.
If you were using just water, that would
This
be the
is true.
case.
Well, and I've never done the mini, so therefore I've never done steam, because I know that it's not necessarily a good
I just
place
love
to
the fact
shoot
that
you're gonna do it. And you're gonna.
I
Like,
love when we have
wow.
conversations with each other through your podcast. You always seem to be like willing to pick up kind of like a new.
I don't know everything.
No, but I love that like we have these opportunities to share these things with you, and then for you to kind of be like, maybe I'll try it.
Dude,
And then
you've been
I love
doing this
that.
how many years? I've been doing this professionally, 8 years. I don't know everything. I mean, we're always learning.
Yeah,
I'm never
I love that.
It's worked for me, what I do, but that
You're gonna
doesn't
steam
mean
the
that I
vents and you're
can't
gonna
get
be
better.
like,
I mean, Ivan
what?
LaCroix says it all the time, and he's been doing this for what, like 5 decades? Maybe more?
I knew Godfrey was gonna laugh at that. You're dating the guy.
I feel like Ivan is ageless. Like he's actually
He is
secretly
ageless.
he's secretly a vampire, and he's 140. If you don't know it.
But I'm just saying, like, we can all learn from one another. I
Yeah.
teach people all the time, but I love learning, especially when it comes to efficiency. My husband still to this day says, "Oh, I said you could have a compressor." No, he didn't. I'm just saying. He threw me under the bus, and then he gaslighted me, and it was total farce. Totally. But
I wish
it
you could have
doesn't
been there
matter. I
after
have
that
it now.
podcast that day.
I have it now, and it has been life-changing, and it has.
I want
So
you-
I'm not going to
do me-
say that the techniques and the tips that you're sharing with me aren't going to work, because obviously they did.
No, do me a solid and try the steamer and the minis in the ventilation system.
I
Next
will. I'm
time-
going to try it all.
When
I'm
you
gonna
get
try it
that,
all.
like,
I'm going to steam poo.
The
and
sunlight's
see
gonna
if it
come down.
actually
I'm waiting. You just better send me a message when you do.
I really
That's all
don't
I'm
want to
saying.
have to deal with poo, though.
When
But
it happens, you might have to be like, you know what? I usually wouldn't take this job, But
the next shitty car I have, I'm gonna do a video and I'm gonna be like, Christian, this one's for you. I'm gonna steam this shit.
How big is the poo?
But please
Yeah, I'll do it.
try the minis in the steamer for the vents. That's a big one. Like, because when
I
you
will.
turn on the AC and you have that mildew smell kind of blast you in the face or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you steam the vents, you'll never smell that again. Well,
Okay.
it'll come back over the course of a year or something like that, when obviously the moisture changes and the water's sitting inside there again or whatever. But it'll do a phenomenal job of cleaning out the vents.
As we've been talking this entire time, mentally, I am making the adjustments to my process that I think I want to adjust. And that would include steaming with the mini, all the surfaces, especially the vents, pulling the cabin filter,
Yeah.
and just, maybe seeing. But when it comes to doing the VDKs, when I did a video on them and I was watching the fog on the interior,
Mhm.
I noticed it took about 2 hours for that fog to kind of really do its thing and then start dissipating. Is there a bare minimum runtime that you guys have seen that is still effective? Like,
With
how
the
short is too short?
aerator, you could do a treatment in less than an hour. If you don't have the aerator, it really, again, is going to be like an odor scale, right? Like on a 1 to 10. If you're dealing with like, my car smells a little funky, I'm not sure what it is, you could probably get away with doing an hour, 2 hour treatment. Because within the first 7 minutes of having that tablet being in the car, most of the gas is going to start escaping the top of the jar and you're going to start building up that concentration. The trick is, the longer you leave it closed up, the more the gas can search out and find the things that shouldn't be in the vehicle that are neutral and neutralize them. So it all really depends on the severity of your odor.
Okay. All right. We had a few more questions. John wanted to know, besides seatbelts, visors, and air filter, are there any other precautions before setting off VDK?
I mean, seatbelts should be fastened, visors should be flipped down, air filter should be replaced. Any other precautions? No. I mean, the only thing I would say is, if you're dealing with an odor that's associated with something that might not just be cigarette smell, pet odor, things of that nature, or whatever, that might just kind of be floating amongst the air, you really just want to try to do a deep clean. You're going to
You
get the
can
best
use our
result.
precaution sticker that we put in there with it, or that label. That's a precaution you can put on there. Cars being treated. Don't go into the car.
Do
There's
not
one.
enter sign. Yeah.
Yep. Do not enter.
Which is better for destroying odors, enzyme cleaner or your mini tablets with your cleaner of choice?
So, and I'm not just saying this because of the chlorine dioxide is one of the most amazing things in our industry that has not really broken full mainstream yet. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Godfrey will tell you, like, one of the things we always tell guys all the time when we're giving out our sample kits or we're doing different promotions, trying to introduce people to the products, whatever it might be, like, minis are our sleeper product. Like, everyone's like, oh man, give me the VDK. It's so cool. I've seen it smoking in all these videos and people are using it. I hear great things about it or whatever. And I'm like, listen, we're going to send you a couple of the minis as well too. You need to try them, and you need to try them in a steamer. And the amount of people that will say, yo, dude, these things are a staple. I will not clean a car without dropping a mini in my APC or in my steamer. Like, it's become a staple in my business. Thank you so much. It's always because of the minis. Always.
Well, I think honestly, it's been interesting that we've had almost 2 hours of a conversation talking about, like, dog poo and
Funk.
dead animals. And honestly, I've loved every second of this conversation, because I think I've learned something when it comes to interior detailing. And like I said at the very beginning, odor removal can be one of the more challenging things. I mean, customers are relying on you oftentimes to just even feel comfortable in their own vehicles. And so, like, thank you guys for sharing a little bit more with me. Your products. Do you guys have anything new that you can kind of tease that might be on the horizon?
So we're working on some stuff. Obviously, we got SEMA coming at the end of the year. So there's a couple of things that we're cooking. I'd love to let you know a little bit more, but at this point, really can't. Two things I do want to, one thing I do want to say though, is obviously, like, for guys who are listening right now, most of you guys probably offer odor removal services, right? And like you were saying, to kind of piggyback your point, Chelsea, like, if you're charging the customer a premium for an odor removal service, you want to make sure you're not going back to that customer's house, or that they're bringing their vehicle back to the shop, right? So I always recommend, for an odor removal job, do it as thoroughly as you can do it, discussing, doing all the different steps that we discussed tonight. outside of that, there's a market for you guys that I try to really, really pound home when I talk to people personally on the phone. And that's doing this air quality reset service, right? Because to me, if you were bringing your car to me, Chelsea, right, and your car didn't smell, I can't offer you an odor removal service, but I can offer you an interior air quality reset service. And you might say to me, hey, Chris, what is that? You know what I mean?
I'm
And the
writing
reality,
that down.
but I'm saying the reality of it is, and the way we pitch it is, Cooper Tire did a study back in 2022 that found out that on average, Americans spend about 18 days a year inside their car, right? That's 9 days every 6 months, right? Now, you being an interior girl or whatever, you can respect this, right? It's 9 days every 6 months. We become very nose blind to our own smells and our own funk that we create inside of our vehicle. You might get in your car and think your car smells fine. Godfrey might get in your car and be like, yo, dude, I was in Chelsea's car today. That thing smells like shit. Right?
Socks. It smells like socks.
Socks and dog poop.
I will tell you what that
Bingo.
scent is, and it is socks.
But my point is, right, is like when you're pitching your packages and your a la carte services and things like that, hey, just to let you know, I do offer an interior air quality reset service. It's a really great way to get your car reset back to neutral. You know, we are offering it today for a price, and you could do it for $40. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that $125 odor removal, $150 odor removal. But if you do a couple air quality resets a week and you're whacking $40 and you're paying $20 for the VDK and less than $1 for the mini, you're spending $21 and you're making $40 on the side. You're paying for all your chemicals. You're paying for the towels that you just junked up. You're paying for whatever. I mean, it's a really nice way to add some extra revenue to your business. I got guys that make like $1,000+ a month doing that. And I try to pitch it to people all the time. Like, yo, you offer odor removal for sure, but don't just box yourself in the corner there. Offer an air quality reset service. Your ears tweak when you heard it. You know
It's
what I mean?
going
Like,
on to my menu. Honestly, I think it's brilliant. It can be an
yeah.
add-on. Most people, like when they, like I have
And
people
you
adding the
recommend it
undercarriage
once or
clean.
twice a year. You
Yeah,
know?
I have people that are like, "Oh, I'll do the $20 undercarriage cleaning," and I'm like, "That takes me a whole like 3 minutes."
Right.
Like that's
But
just
see,
an
the thing,
easy little
again, right,
add-on.
you have the tools for it, and people need to remember this and understand, like, you are the professional, right? So the way you present and the way you pitch yourself and the way you sell your products and your services and your business is what allows a customer to feel comfortable enough to want to spend their money with you. So if you present what it is that you offer in a way that is beneficial and adds value to them at a price point that doesn't seem like you're trying to take advantage of them, you will 100%. Well, not 100%, but you'll close most of those deals that way. It's the authenticity, right? Like if I came in, I'm like, oh yeah, man, you could, and I'm feeding you a bunch of shit. You're like, whatever. This guy's kind of just trying to pitch me stuff. So
I think it's brilliant.
cool.
Tornador trick. People say you could do that with the mini too. There you go. Blow your mind.
Tornador.
Yeah.
Tornador works great too with a mini. Them like foggers too. You know, the plug-in foggers that you can shoot out the fog with or whatever. They work phenomenal with the mini.
Well, hopefully you guys have been inspired with some great services that you can feature to your customers. For those of you that have struggled with this area, hopefully you feel more confident. For those of you that love this, know that you are affirmed that you are using some of the best products on the market when it comes to odor removal. So
I would just like to
hopefully-
apologize, Chelsea, to you. I'm scrolling through some of the comments. I don't know if the people are usually this wild in the chat with you.
They
or
are
if
always like
Okay,
my
cool.
ADHD
I
is
thought-
like so hard to keep track because like I'll read it and I'm
No,
like,
I'm saying-
if you see me smiling half the time, it's because like I'm responding, but I can't like.
Don't you try to blame the Snickers Army? Like
I'm just saying, I felt like some of the things that were being said in the chat tonight
There were
be because we're on the podcast and they're used to being a little bit reckless on the fucking homies. So I just wanted to
get
say
this.
that I'm sorry.
The thing is, what's great about these podcasts is we all have like the same followers. We have really loyal fans that
do.
watch all of
We
our
do. They're
podcasts.
the best,
and
man.
so I've become very familiar with many of them. And I'm like, yep, that's on par.
Yeah. Okay.
is that
cool.
inappropriate? What is that? What is that? Is that poop in a tree? What is that?
That's a helmet. It looks
Captain
like a military
Shitty?
helmet.
Yeah, I don't
Shit.
know.
What's that code? I don't know what that code is.
Snickers Army, maybe. It might be the Snickers Army.
Snickers Army retreat, they say. So,
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry for that.
no,
I had a blast, Chalice. I always.
Godfrey, you only owe $20 to what is it, a charity of choice or?
Oh no, we gotta do a giveaway. All right, so you got a question you can pop off the top of your head real fast, Chelsea? Maybe. Am I putting you on the spot?
Trivia question.
I don't know. You guys, I hate doing these things.
All right. Godfrey, you got one?
I mean, why would I help? It hurts.
Coming out of your pocket already.
All right. How many vehicles a day can
All right.
Christian do when he
There
is
you
working
go.
at the dealerships?
First person to answer the number in the chat is going to get a VDK and a BioFresh or a Bio Bombs air freshener bar of your choice.
Paul got it first.
All right, cool. Paul, you got me already. Hit me on Messenger, man. We'll get you set up.
How many of you guys watch these shows just for the giveaways?
I never asked the question. But some of the answers they give sometimes when you ask the questions, you're like, are you guys even paying attention? Or are you just in the chat talking shit to each other the whole time?
I love that they love one another.
Probably about a little shit talk going on, you know?
Well, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. Next week, I'm actually really excited. We're going to have Adam Hinman from Detailers of Sarasota on. He's a mobile detailer that honestly has been totally impressing me with some of the moves and the marketing that he has been doing with his business. So for those of you that want to know how to kind of go big with your detailing business, next week I think is going to be a really good episode. So hopefully you guys will tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here over at the House of Rocks. If you guys, House of Racks, not Rocks. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe. And Christian, Godfrey, where can they find you guys if they want to contact you guys or to try any of your products out?
So BioBomb's pretty much anything on any social media site. If anybody has any questions or if you run into a sticky situation or a funky situation and you want to talk directly to Godfrey or me, you can either message Godfrey at biobombs.com, Christian at biobombs.com, info@biobombs.com, or you can hit up the chat because we keep that thing open pretty much 24 hours a day. And Godfrey doesn't really sleep, so he'll answer you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You got the TikTok.
He did sleep during the show.
You got the Instagram. You got Facebook
YouTube,
Messenger. You can hit the Godfrey up or Godfrey the Detailer page. You can hit that guy up. There's plenty of ways to find us.
Any way you want to find us, just come get us.
You'll find us. You'll find us.
Exactly.
And Jamie is saying premiere on my channel after party. Come on over.
There you go.
All righty. Well, hopefully you guys have enjoyed another episode of Behind the Details with Chelsea. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a great night.
Stay fresh, y'all. Peace.
Peace.